My mother has developed a somewhat uncomfortable habit over the last few years. When I go back to Iowa, we sit and talk, we drink lots of coffee, we eat way too many Russian tea cakes, and then at some point, she'll ask me to come into the upstairs study, the library that used to be my bedroom. And she'll have me look at the beautiful built-in bookshelf that she had custom-made for the room, and she'll say with a seriousness that is fairly uncommon in our relationship, "You know, Yoni, someday this is going to be yours." And I nod in discomfort, mainly because the future event of my mother's passing is not something that I would personally choose to occupy my thoughts, especially not while I'm on vacation and trying to relax, but also because I feel like I should point out to her that I'm her only child, so obviously that bookshelf is going to come to me someday. But I also feel like that addendum would undoubtedly make an awkward conversation that much more so. But since this tradition started, I've given more thought to the significance of this exchange. Sure, it's uncomfortable, and no doubt I'd rather us be drinking coffee or playing dominoes than talking about mortality and material distribution. But I believe that there's something else being said in this exchange, something that's crucial, something that's vitally important, and it makes any discomfort small and incidental. My mom has never told me that one day the house will be mine, that my grandmother's china will be mine, or even that any saved finances would be mine. She has focused on a bookshelf that is filled from floor to ceiling with novels, poetry, history, and memoirs. A bookshelf that holds wisdom, that holds beauty, and that holds growth. I've come to understand that my inheritance isn't about the bookshelf at all. It's about what that bookshelf holds. An opportunity to learn and grow, to better myself, and in so doing, hopefully, to better the world around me. And in a way, I feel that this is an inheritance that all of us are born with, but maybe not one that we easily see. That while we are surrounded by things, the true gift of the generations, the idea of Lador Vador, is the gift of progress and the gift of giving. While it's easier to look at the house, the china, and the bank accounts, the greater fortune comes in the form of words and stories, and the hard work of dedication, and in the hard work of hope. In our parashah this week, Parashat Pinhas, 5 women teach us this important lesson, and they do so beautifully. We read that the daughters of Zelophehad, Machlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah, in the wake of their father's death, have been left out of his inheritance. They plead with Moshe to reconsider the traditional laws, cogently arguing for a more egalitarian system. Moshe brings their case to Hashem, who says, "Ken, banot Zelophehad dovrot naton." To be sure, the daughters of Zelophehad speak justly. You must give them a portion of their father's financial inheritance, and you must transfer the father's estate to them. The Kabbalistic masters, the sages of Jewish mysticism and esotericism, who focus primarily on the unseen and on the transcendent, make an exception to this philosophy of the beyond when it comes to inheritance. And their models of moral and spiritual integrity in this realm are none other than these 5 women. According to the mystics, Machlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah are not arguing to claim their father's material wealth, but rather are arguing for their right to partake in the inheritance of responsibility expected at the time only of Jewish men. The responsibility to turn the physical world into something greater, to fill the earth with God's glory, and to bring the divine presence into even the darkest of cracks and corners. The zchut, the merit of these women is that they see a world of potential that is desperately in need of goodness, of holiness, and that they fight with love and sincerity for their right to provide what they can to realize that very potential. While the other Israelites are waiting for their china set, The women of the inheritance are standing before the bookshelf, pleading to open some pages. And so too, the choice is ours. The choice is ours as to where we stand throughout the moments of our lives. And to be clear, there are moments when we should embrace the comforts and the rewards of our work and the work of those who came before us. Diving into the books does not mean shunning the china, but we should be careful that in the beauty of the china, we don't forget that the books are waiting for us as well. The daughters of Zelophehad and the mystics that followed them urge us to see a world filled with possibilities. But never, not once, did they pretend that it's easy. To see the world as incomplete can be profoundly lonely. Adding holiness comes at the very painful price of seeing where holiness is lacking. Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik referred to this burden as being the lonely man of faith, an understanding that seeing the world as it could be, as it should be, can be isolating and deeply lonely. And so it is a question we must ask ourselves. It's an important question. Is the outcome worth the effort? Our homework this Shabbat is to ask ourselves that difficult question. To examine our lives and ask where holiness is present and where holiness is lacking. Do our relationships beam with the sanctity that comes from consistent care and effort? Does our Judaism, the way we live it today, add meaning and profundity to our lives? If not, how do we get to work and take care of our neshamas, our souls, the way that they deserve to be taken care of? How do we add a song to our prayer, our intention into our rituals? And if our Judaism is in fact where we want it to be, how can we make that joy and that observance contagious so that it may inspire others to seek that same depth, that same profundity, that same meaning? Does the inheritance of our lives dance with the awe and wonder that lays in waiting within all of God's creation? Or do we shift into complacency and wait for holiness to come to us rather than seeking it out for ourselves? My friends, the holy lies before us. And we must ask ourselves if the work is worth it. I hope that together we can answer in the affirmative. That we can say together today that we claim our inheritance with pride. And that like Machlah, Noah, Hagla, Milcah, and Tirzah, we will stake our claim in the right to find holiness where holiness is needed. To provide comfort where there is pain, to sing and dance when joy and celebration are merited, and to still find some time to enjoy the house and the china within it. This Shabbat, the gift is waiting. Let's take one step closer to the bookshelf. Let's lift whatever binding catches our eye, and let's open some pages together. Because we have been given a beautiful inheritance, and this world is longing to see it. Shabbat Shalom.